Disguising itself as a human female, an extraterrestrial life form drives around Scotland, attempting to lure unsuspecting men into her van, without even using candy. Well, I guess you could say she uses a type of candy. Once she lures them back to her place, she literally sends them into another dimension, where they can do nothing but wait to meet their fate. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Recapped. Today we're going to be taking a look at the movie Under the Skin starring Scarlett Johansson. As always, be sure to like the video, hit that sub button if you're new, grab a snack, and let's begin. The film opens and we linger on a black screen until a small source of light begins to get larger and larger at the center of the screen. It becomes so large that it's like a spotlight shining down on us, blinding us until we see it from the side. The super bright lights shine behind what looks like planets. It begins to look like an eclipse is happening as the light is blocked by the planets. We hear the voice of a woman pronouncing different syllables and words. It's almost as if she's practicing the English language. The psychedelic visuals slowly transform into a human eye, just before the film hard cuts to a lone motorcyclist driving on a town's winding roads in the night. He pulls over on the side of the road, wanders off into the darkness of a field, and returns to the light, carrying the body of a dead woman. He takes her to a nearby parked van. We then see the body of the woman being stripped of her clothing in a seemingly white, endless void, by another woman, who's also naked. The woman dresses in the clothes she stripped off the body and notices a tear roll down from the dead woman's eye. We then see the woman leaving an abandoned building and getting in the van. The biker then walks his bike out of the back of the van and leaves. Alright, well, thoughts so far on who this woman and biker are. I'll give you a hint. They're aliens. Yeah, pretty much. The woman goes to a mall and wanders around and buys new clothes and makeup before returning to the van. She drives around the city, paying close attention to the people walking along the street, almost like she's analyzing them, or even hunting them. The woman notices a man walking alone alongside the sidewalk and waves him over to her van. She asks him for directions, and after he gives them, she playfully asks where he's going. He tells her that he's meeting someone and that he has to go, and as soon as he walks away, the woman's demeanor shifts from a warm and playful one to a cold and calculated one. She hits the road again, searching for another isolated person. We see her make another failed attempt at talking to someone before she finally gets a man on the sidewalk to get into her van. He climbs into the passenger seat and gives the woman directions. While she drives, they make small talk about how the man lives alone and about both of their families. The film hard cuts to the woman alone in the van again, driving and searching for someone new. We see the woman asking for directions from a new man. They seem to be hitting things off until a woman off screen yells for the man. Sadly, he got caught in 4K. As soon as the woman in the van hears it, she speeds off into the night. The film cuts to the woman driving with another new man in her passenger seat. They make playful small talk about the man's love life and start to flirt. We then see the woman opening a door to a house and looking back at the man, waiting behind her before she walks into the darkness of the home. He slowly walks in behind her, and we see them both walking in an endless black void. As they take off their clothes, she continues walking into the void. The man strips down completely and walks after her until he starts to sink into the floor beneath him. She continues walking away from him as he silently sinks into the black liquid. She turns around, picks up her clothes, and walks back through the void. We then see her back in the van again, looking for another isolated man on the street. We're then at an almost empty beach during the day. She talks to a swimmer. Before they can really chat, the swimmer notices a woman being pulled into the ocean and her husband swimming after her. The swimmer runs to save the husband by dragging him back to land, and then he collapses. The husband unfortunately tries to swim back out to sea while the swimmer lays down to catch his breath. The woman approaches him while he's down, finds a large rock, and knocks him out with it. She then drags the man back to her van and drives away. We see the biker from the beginning cleaning up where the swimmer had set up a tent nearby. Now we see the woman driving without the swimmer, looking for another man at night. So basically, guys, if you ever see this woman driving around asking you to get into her van, just don't, okay? She notices one man go into a club, and she follows him inside. They dance together in the club, and the film cuts to the black void. They both strip down, and the woman walks away from the man. He follows her, and as he walks, he sinks into the black floor until he's fully absorbed. The woman gathers her clothes and leaves. Inside, the man floats, submerged in the void, and he notices another man is with him, one of her previous victims. The other man's skin is loose, almost as if his soul has been sucked out of him. He tries to scream, but then evaporates into nothing but his loose skin. Oh my gosh, she's been turned into a sock puppet, guys. The film cuts to the woman in the black van, searching for someone new. A man gives her a rose in traffic. After she takes it, she notices her hand is covered in blood. The man giving out roses had cut himself by accident. She studies the blood quietly, clearly unfamiliar with it, before driving away. We then see her with another man, leading him into the black void that is her home. Then we cut to a different black void with the biker looking over her. He stares into her eyes before walking away, almost as if he's trying to gauge whether she's fully committed to the mission. We then see her walking along the sidewalk, analyzing people just existing. They do human things like eating, drinking, laughing, socializing, and crying. We then see her at night in the van again, on the hunt. She picks up a man on his way out of the grocery store. The man hides his face in a hoodie until he finally pulls it off once he's in the van. We can now see that the man's face is large and disfigured. She asks him why he shops at night, and he tells her that his face disturbs people if he goes out during the day, so he keeps it hidden and goes out at night. She learns about him and finds out that he doesn't have any friends and never had a girlfriend. He insists that he has to go, and she asks him when the last time he was touched by someone. She lets him touch her face, and it's clearly special to him. She asks him if he'd like to go back to her house, which is a few minutes away, and the man reluctantly agrees. We see the man and the woman enter the black void. Unlike the other men she's brought here, he notices that they're in a void immediately. She strips down completely naked, which she's never done before. She looks him in the eye and tells him to come to her as she walks away. He asks if they're dreaming, and she tells him that they are. He walks to her until he has sunken completely into the void, and we then see a completely black being standing in the void, staring at the woman. On her way out of the house, the woman catches herself in the mirror. She stares at herself for almost a minute, studying her own face. We then see her leaving the house in a rush with the naked, disfigured man. She drives him far away and releases him into the woods of a nearby town. We cut to the biker intercepting the disfigured man and abducting him into a neighborhood in broad daylight, some people even witnessing it from their houses. Well, RIP for our boy, he almost got away. We then see the woman driving her van along the road until a thick fog sets in all around her. She gets out and inspects it, stands in the street marveling at how it blows in the wind. The woman gets back into her van and drives down the road. We then see her sitting at a restaurant next, slowly inspecting and eating a piece of cake, presumably for the first time. Sadly, she ends up choking on it and spitting it back out. The film then cuts to the woman waiting at a bus stop and taking a bus somewhere. A man befriends her on the bus, and we see them shopping in a grocery store together in the next scene. She then follows him back to his home where they watch TV and eat dinner together. Afterwards, she sits and watches him wash the dishes while they both listen to music. She taps her fingers to the rhythm. She clearly enjoys it. He sets her up in a bedroom to sleep in for the night. While he sleeps in the other bedroom, she stares at her body in the mirror, studying, learning it. We then see two bikers riding around the streets at night, presumably looking for her. The next day, the woman and the man take a walk around a group of ruins near the town. The man helps her down the stairs and is very kind and patient with her. Later that day, we see the man and woman share a passionate kiss before getting in bed with each other. They get ready to do the thing, but before they can, she realizes that it's impossible because her body isn't exactly like the body of a real woman. Well, pour one out for our boy, he's gonna have blue balls. She leaves the home and runs off into the woods. As she wanders through the woods, she meets a man in a reflective yellow jacket. He asks her what she's doing here, and she explains that she's just on a walk. He tells her that this is about 2,000 acres of woods, and warns her to be careful where she's going, not to get lost. She quietly nods and wanders deeper into the woods. Somewhere nearby, the biker drives down the road looking for her. As the woman continues wandering in the woods, she eventually finds a building with a sign that says, "Hill walkers are welcome to take shelter here." She goes inside and finds many clotheslines hanging near the ceiling inside. She finds many sleeping mats laying around the building and a desk where someone had been writing on some papers. She curls up in the corner of the building and goes to sleep. She wakes up to the man in the yellow jacket trying to clap some cheeks, but she quickly shoves him away, jumps up and bolts off into the woods. She finds a spot under a fallen tree and hides from the man. She waits under the fallen tree, listening closely, waiting to hear something. Eventually, she runs off into the woods and finds a large parked truck carrying trees on a gravel road. She climbs inside the truck and feverishly looks for the keys until she notices the man in the yellow jacket down the road is walking toward her. She gets out and runs back into the woods while snow slowly falls from the sky. The man chases right on her heels until he tackles her. He forces himself on her and tears her clothes away. She struggles, trying to escape until he stops. She stands up and slowly hobbles away as a piece of her skin drags from behind, clearly showing the black figure underneath her body. The man sprints away into the woods while the woman sits on the ground. She slowly peels off the skin from her until she's completely black, like the figure from earlier in the void. The man sneaks up behind her and covers her in gasoline before lighting her on fire. She runs into a clearing and lays down in the now snow-covered woods. We see the biker wandering the nearby woods, looking for the woman. She lays down in the snow, slowly burning, while smoke blows into the air above. We stare up at the smoke until it eventually fades into just snow, slowly falling. And that is the end of the story. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, guys? Well, I think this was definitely a very interesting story and character arc. We definitely got to see the woman, played by Scarlett Johansson, take a turn as she eventually learned more and more about humans, gained a personality, figured out what emotions are, and actually became empathetic in the end. I was actually surprised that she let the one dude go. Well, but he didn't really get let go, but she tried. I feel kind of bad about her fate and that she ultimately didn't make it despite learning everything. But I think that's what makes this movie kind of interesting and just kind of more artistic. It's more realistic. Of course, when she finally realizes what humans are all about and actually starts to become a little bit of human herself, of course that's when she gets attacked and then eventually burned alive. Well, I mean, I didn't expect it, but it figures. Let me know what you guys thought about this movie down below. I thought it was very interesting, great acting by Scarlett Johansson, and it's definitely one of those movies that just leaves you thinking at the end. And that, to me, is always a good thing. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, hit that sub button if you're new, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next one.